Hello, my name is Bradley and I'm your host of The Internal Game. So we know on this channel that it's inside first, outside second, right? That means that the outside is a reflection of what you are doing within, right? And state of being is king. I say this all the time, state of being is king. Okay, so if we're getting a reflection of what we are being, then it's probably a good idea to start looking at what we are being and how we are being, like how we're showing up, right? So if we want money, right? We want money. That's like, okay, we want money. Or I want to increase my wealth. I want to do things like this. How are you showing up internally, right? If you want a relationship, maybe it's to manifest a specific person, right? Then you have to ask yourself, how am I showing up internally? If you are already in a relationship and you want it to flourish, be harmonious, a great relationship, then you want to ask yourself and start taking a look at like what am I doing internally, right? So whatever it is that you want, maybe all of these things, I want you to get out a piece of paper and a pen, obviously, and just do this little exercise. Like just get your paper, get your pen. It doesn't take very long, and I want you to write on one side what it is you want, and on the other side, how you have been being. What this looks like is, what do I want? Money. Okay, I want money. I want $5,000 a day or whatever it is that you want, right? You write it all down. And then write, how have you been being when it comes to money? Do you talk about how much money you do not have? Do you always say you're broke? Are you scared of like when someone even brings up the idea of money? Are you, like when you think about bills or when you think about having to spend, like do you get scared? Do you kind of freeze? Start feeling really small? Only you know these things, and just write out how you've been being, right? And then if knowing that our state of being is creating our reality, like if you look at how you've been being and just take an honest approach with it, does that line up with a person who has money? Does that line up with a person who is financially free? Does that line up with a person who's abundant? Like, get honest, right? If it's a relationship, how have you been being internally? Like if you say, I want a relationship with this person and that's my person, he or she's who I want a long lasting, loving, romantic relationship, right? Boom, on one side of the paper. Then how have you been being internally? Have you been judging this person? Have you been fearful of their doing things that would not be favorable, right? Are you looking at them with resentment because maybe something happened in the past? Are you constantly complaining to your friends about this person, or even in your head, right? Mainly in your head, right? Nonetheless, how are you actually being right now when it comes to your desired manifestation? Because these things are what matter, right? What matters is who we are being in the moment, predominantly. That's it, right? It's not the desire itself. It's about us being the desire. It's about us being what we want to experience. That's it. And really just take a really good look at like, even how you're being with people at work, right? Like, are you judgmental? Is there that one person at work that you're like, man, I just, every day, they're just like, boom, this person every day, man, they just show up, they just say what they want to say, they don't do their work, I'm the one that has to do it. Like, what kind of stories do you have in your everyday life that are keeping you in this really, really small role? Like in this really, really closed up state of being that's like walking around mad, judgmental, fearful. It's all coming from fear, but nonetheless, like these kind of fear and lack, these kind of states of being, right? And then after you have looked at like how you've been being and compared to your desire and like just how you've been being in general in your day-to-day, I want you to ask yourself this question. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Now, I'm fully aware that unconsciously we get these little small payoffs from resentment and being self-righteous and no, this person did this, or like I get it. I'm fully aware of it, right? That the ego likes to do this. I definitely understand. But once we become aware of how we act and what we're doing, and like, okay, this is probably not ideal in favor with my ideal, right? This is not an ideal state of being if I want this particular ideal over here, right? And once we become aware of this, we want to really ask ourselves, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth looking at your person through a judgmental, resentful, fearful lens? Is it worth looking at money and being scared? And even at times like where you know you have to pay it out, like where you know you have to spend something. Like, is it worth being fearful and judgmental and being hyper focused on this lack and really critical about the situation? Is it worth it? Or can we kind of get stable and look at it like, okay, what kind of value am I getting from whatever I have to spend? You know, I've talked about this many times. But nonetheless, a whole different approach, because again, is it worth it? Because how you are being is how things are staying, or how things are going to show up. And how things are going to show up, right? So don't be scared about writing down like how you've been being, right? Like, because I don't want that to manifest. Because if you've been being this way already, like nothing, it doesn't matter. But what you do want to do is really get a clear picture. Like, okay, I'm judgmental. I'm fearful. I am kind of being ungrateful. I'm these things right here, and I've been doing this. And like, if I'm honest, I say I want this, but how I've been thinking, acting, feeling, all these things over here, how I've been being, doesn't really line up with this. And if state of being is creating my reality, if state of being is king, and I'm getting a reflection of what and who I'm being, then like, is this worth it? Are the little small payoffs of judgment and resentment worth me not acquiring my desires, me not becoming my desired self, and getting my desires, kind of thing? You know, I've been doing this a while, and I was at it for a while as far as learning things. And I mean, I guess we can always say we're always learning things, but the law stays the same. And I think that sometimes we think we are doing differently than we are, you know, because like I get this a lot, and I know I've been there before by being like, man, like I'm doing this, and like it's just not showing up. Like, where's it at, dude? You know, but like if we really like get honest and take an honest approach about how we're actually being, how we're being at work, which is 8 hours of the day, by the way, like for most people, that's a long time in the day. That is a long time in the day to be in an unfavorable state of being, complaining in the head. And you may think, oh, well, at least it's not about my person, but like that stuff shifts over to your person, because like you're viewing the world through your state of being. So if you're like, if you've allowed your like fun, loving, light state of being to be compromised at work because Sally at work is XYZ, then like you're gonna, in that state of being, you're gonna shift that over to when you think about your person. You're like, oh, you know what, they're not doing this either. Like, and I can't believe they did this, and they used to do this, and like I ain't hear from them, and da. Like it's going to shift over to other areas of your life. If you're in a fearful state of being, an aggressive state of being, kind of like that, or just kind of more so rooted in victimhood, you're going to see money like this. You're going to see everything like this. You're going to start shifting focus like that. So ideally, you want to get stable. Remember, that's just a thought. That's just a thought. But take a look at how you've been being, and then say, okay, is it worth it? If you come up with no, then you're right? Like you're. I mean, there's no right or wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's not worth it. And then I want you to write, like, how do you want to be? Like, get a real clear picture of how you want to be. I want to be fun. I want to be loving. I want to be understanding. I want to be a person people can come to. I want to be successful. I want to be a leader. I want to, like, all these things that you want to be. You write them down, and then you start being them at any cost. I think it was Tom Ballou. He's a successful guy as far as like the foreign world is concerned, and I remember seeing like a quote from him like 5-6 years ago, where he was like, decide the person you want to be, and then be that even when it's really hard. Right? And he also had a quote that was like, if you don't know what you want to be in 5 years, and what you want to have, look around because you're already being it and you already have it. And I love that approach because he's saying like you have to have some kind of idea about how you want things to be. Because if not, we're kind of just on autopilot a lot, and we're like, we don't realize how much we're complaining in our head, and we don't realize that our state of being is maybe not the most ideal. And then we say a couple of affirmations in a particular direction, and we're like, where is it at? Like, and then we're like, oh, this stuff doesn't work, or how come this happened for so and so, or what have you. It's like, really, who are you being moment to moment? Are you being the change? Or are you doing the same thing over and over again? Like, kind of like Albert Einstein said, like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Like, manifestation is just reflection. It's not something that you try really, really hard to do. It's just something that you be. And I guess there can be challenging parts in you know, changing identities or letting ones go and deciding to not be resentful in the moment and taking a different approach. But like, it doesn't last for a long time. So like, it's just it's just reflection. There's something to really, there's nothing to really like try super hard about. But like, we want to get a really good, honest approach. Take a really good, honest approach about how we've been being, and ask ourselves, is it worth it? Then, if we come up with no, because it's not, like Susie at the job or Sally at the job, whatever, is not worth us being in a crazy state of being. Like, they don't have that power. Only, you know, you have that. You don't have to take on what it is you think that they're doing or not doing. Like, you don't have to take that on. You can bring it back to self, get yourself stable, and handle business, right? It doesn't matter like what person did in the past, you think they're doing now. All that stuff doesn't matter. Bring it back to self and be how you want to be. Be the desire. Be the outcome. Okay? And then, yeah, once you have that, once you have the honest approach done about like how you've been being, then write out how you want to be, and then be that, even if it seems really hard. It's all about decision in the moment, and it can be a bit challenging. But that's the hardest part about change. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza said, is doing something different than you did the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. But it can be done in the moment, because if it is to be done, it's to be done in the moment, and make a different decision. And start being this new way, and you're gonna start getting a different reflection, because that's all that you're seeing out there is a reflection anyway. But if you're not being the desire, and you're falling for this little small payoff of resentment and judgment, and this person did this, and that's why I can't do this, and it's hard, like, then really ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Okay? That's all I got, and I'll see you guys soon.